What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Patreon. It is 1:40 p.m. here on the East Coast in the USA. It is February 9th of 2019. So, yesterday I asked you guys on Patreon if you prefer Patreon or if you would like to move to a new system, because I had a few people telling me, hey, Kevin, I can't see the posts. I'm still a member, but I can't see the posts. I don't know what's going on. So it seems like there's some issues with the servers in Patreon. But, you know, if a couple people are having issues, but, you know, 98% of you aren't, then, you know, we have to just stick with the 98%, right? Because it's not, you know, there was a lot of drama surrounding Patreon, right? A couple members also are, you know, kind of anti-Patreon because of all the drama and stuff, and I totally understand it, right? I am a strong believer in individual freedom, free speech, constitutionalism, to be quite honest, right? I'm a very strong believer in individual freedom, and that's another reason why I like crypto so much. So, you know, I understand it. I totally get it. So that is why I, you know, whipped up an alternative, right, to show you guys what the alternative could be, right? This PayPal system right here would actually create reoccurring payments, so it would be convenient in that way. People were saying, well, I like the fact that it's a reoccurring payment on Patreon. Well, this system does do that, but most of you guys, you know, said you are fine with Patreon, you would prefer it, and it's good because it has like an alert system. You guys get alerted when I post, and that's great, right? That is also, you know, a good thing. You get in with Patreon, you get an email notification and an app notification, right? So that's good. But I figured I'd just show you guys the alternative, right? And this alternative would give the option to pay with crypto, which is pretty nice, because some of you were requesting that. The thing about Patreon is I can't choose how I get paid through Patreon. Like, I can't set up that system, right? Can't do that. It's like, you know, I would have to be a developer there to make that happen, right? So anyway, we're going to stick with Patreon. Most of you guys are okay with Patreon. We will stay with it for now, unless Patreon has a major malfunction, and then we do actually have a plan B, so we can keep the show on the road, right? We can keep this thing going. So anyway, yesterday we broke above that resistance point at 3,450, and within two 15-minute periods, you know, we find ourselves at 3,700. Consolidating in this range. So, you know, one thing to look out for is if Bitcoin did have, you know, I want to see, like, what kind of demand does Bitcoin have at these levels right now? Does it have enough demand to push up, right? Are we going to see this thing start to get pulled up based on like more demand, right? Because there are a few pieces of news right now that could cause that. The whole, you know, people saying that the ETF is like likely going to get approved, and they're saying that BACT is going to get approved in March, and it's just around the Ferris wheel, or around the merry-go-round over and over again. People getting hyped up about this news over and over again. You know, I can't put too much weight on any of that news, guys, because I know that stuff is so fragile. And, you know, there's so many external factors that could change that BACT would be approved in March, or whatever it is that people are looking out for right now. You know that could cause some demand for Bitcoin in the short term, but I can't bank on that news being true, because it could fall through so easily. But right now, you know, the volume levels that we're seeing right here aren't much different from before. So we saw this huge pocket of buying right here, just all of a sudden, just price ramps up. You know, pretty coordinated move, in my opinion, right? That's not like organic demand, right? I mean, FOMO kicks in as the price goes up, but it's not like, I don't think this is based on anything organic, really, unless that new, you know, it's just too fast. It's just too fast. But who knows? To me, it doesn't seem very organic. Anyway, we're up here right now. What's the demand going to be like for Bitcoin right now? It doesn't seem like all too much. Volume levels are pretty similar from before. There was no real increase in the volume levels at here. If there was a major increase right here, then maybe I would think, okay, maybe we're actually going to continue up. Sentiment is changing, increase in interest, so on and so forth. But we're not really getting that, right? We're not really getting that. So, you know, what can we expect? I mean, guys, there is, you know, a possibility for a push up, but in my opinion, I think we're going to see, you know, a pullback and a consolidation right here, and maybe even a pump up for like another sort of fake out and a pullback. just based on, you know, volume. Guys, we had a volume spike, but there's no consistency right now, right? Like when you're looking at the previous, when you're looking at, we're just looking for clues, guys. That's what we're doing. We're looking for clues. In the previous pumps, there's a continuation in volume, right? You see continuation right here as well. More continuation, a lot higher volume levels. Even on this one, you saw a little bit of continuation, even though it was really selling that picked up in the end. Right now, we saw this nice price spike, no continuation. A little bit of profit taking, no continuation. Now, the thing is, the profit taking isn't that strong right yet, right? There's not all that much profit taking yet, so we are holding this level, but there's no bullish continuation, right? I don't see continuation here that you would see on a lot of the other pumps. So to me, it's more likely that we pull back and consolidate in this range for a little bit before, you know, a little bit more of sideways trading, I would think. Just based on, you know, it doesn't seem like there's that much hype, that much interest, and there's no continuation in volume here. The only thing that you could say or one of the things that you could say from a bullish perspective is that, well, yeah, there's no continuation, but the price is holding. We're not getting that much selling, which is true, right? And this is a small market, and you could see, you know, some whales step in and knock this thing up again. Totally possible, right? Totally possible. So from that perspective, it's like, okay, well, not that much selling, not that much continuation, but we still have a chance to move up. Yes, it's true. It's true. You still have a chance to move up. But in my opinion, I think it's like 70% chance of a pullback, consolidation, and 30% chance of like a major move up. But guys, either one is possible. So one thing I want to talk about today is, you know, just like overall Bitcoin, like like how should we be approaching this right now, right? Because, you know, we're getting some more data now. We're seeing this, the sentiment is a little bit more clear. Yesterday when this pump happened, the main piece of sentiment that I saw on social media from the most people was relief. People were like, oh, gains, finally a little bit of gains, finally a little bit of up, right? Like that is the most common piece of sentiment that I saw on social media yesterday, which I don't know if that's a good thing, honestly, because we're still sitting like right here, right? We just got rejected off of this level right here, guys. Terrible drawing. Let me just do this, right? We just got rejected off of this level here. So we are, I mean, in my opinion, you know, we're on the more, you know, the more bearish end of this formation right now. And there's definitely some room for us to hold below this and sort of just continue on this, you know, this area here. Price might just like bounce down here, play in this range a little bit, right? Like I was saying before. I totally see this. I think this is the most likely scenario right now because I don't see a big enough shift in sentiment. But anyway, so like, what is my point right now? I'm trying to say, how should we approach this market right now? This is important, right? Because we're seeing, we got some more data here. Now, there's obviously a few possibilities. I guess I'll just go to log scale. Actually, am I on? Oh, I am on log scale. What am I talking about? Guys, the possibilities are basically Bitcoin dies. Okay, we're just going to go through all the possibilities. Bitcoin dies. The next possibility is that we find a low, wherever it may be. This is just for illustration purposes, right? We find a low. Bitcoin eventually pulls back up. Or Bitcoin is at the bottom right now. Right? This is also a possibility that Bitcoin is at the bottom right now, right? This is really, I mean, it can result in many ways, but I think, you know, either Bitcoin dies, we find a low below where we're at now, or we're at the bottom, which is all very obvious information for me to tell you, but it changes the approach we have to take on the market right now, right? So one key thing, if we do get a pullback here, and we actually hold the, you know, 31 to 3,400 level, 3,500 level, if we actually hold this area and we have a bounce here and we hold this area going into the next few months, then I would be pretty confident to say that Bitcoin is probably at the bottom, and that Bitcoin, these are the lowest prices we will ever see for Bitcoin. If we're able to hold this level until the second half of this year, right, going into the second half of this year, I would actually say that Bitcoin is at the bottom. That would be my conclusion. Now, there is a chance that this like plays out for a while and we like, yeah, I guess eventually we fall. It's just too much going on in the crypto space for me to believe that, right? So I think that if we are going to hit lower prices, we would probably do so sooner rather than later. So I think pretty much going up until April, right, like end of March, right? I think March and April will probably be a pretty defining period for Bitcoin, where we're going to kind of see really how this is going to play out. And if we're holding these levels by the time we get into April, I would think that it's a higher chance now that these are actually the lowest prices we will ever see for Bitcoin, versus if we start pulling back going into April, then I would say we're going to see a lot lower prices and we have some cheaper Bitcoin to find, right, to accumulate. So depending on, if we pull back right now and we come down to this area going into March here, if we're holding this level well enough and there's like decent enough volume here, I would think that, I might be taking a few positions here, and then possibly getting a small rally and, seeing how the market reacts second half of the year. And there's a chance that we pull back at that point. But if we hold that level again, second half of the year, and we start moving up, I would be coming to the conclusion that we are actually at the lowest prices we will ever see for Bitcoin, right? So in that scenario. But if we start breaking down, it changes, right? The bear market would actually last longer. If we pull back to like my price target of like 2,500, then we would be pretty much on track with everything I've been saying. Where 2020, we would start breaking resistance at around spring of 2020, right? So if we're at the bottom now, I would say by October, we would be breaking resistances. If we're going to fall, we would be coming back up around 2020. This is essentially how I see things right now. So we have to look out for this. Are we going to hold this level, bounce, and then be off for the next upcycle? Or are we going to start falling much lower, finding much lower prices, and be in this bear market for, pretty much double the time, right? Double the length that we would be if this is the bottom now. So this is just kind of the clues I wanted to show you guys. The lower we go, the longer this thing lasts. If this thing drops to $1,000, this bear market would last quite some time, which is a possibility. Let's just say that, Bitcoin does hit $1,000. I mean, this thing it would take a long time for this thing to really find its way, right? I think we're going to be dropping into the 2,500 range most likely, but there is a chance that we are actually closely at the bottom now. So these are the clues we have to look out for. Are we going to hold these levels going into the first half of this year, giving us a clue that we actually might be at the bottom? Or are we going to fall lower and spend a little bit more time, right? It's going to be something in this direction, guys. All right, I just want to show you like what would happen in these scenarios. But for now, in the short term, not too much demand at these levels, right? I think it was a nice little bounce, nice little relief for everybody. Oh, finally some gains. That's what I saw on social media. Maybe they'll take their profits, right? Not much demand right now. I wouldn't expect too much out of this, but we will see, guys. All right. Somebody was saying yesterday, do you have any plans? Do you have any plans to take profits? Well, guys, this is a long-term process. It's not going to be anytime soon, but there's a couple different possibilities with that as well. We don't know, guys. We don't know if Bitcoin is going to continue on its long-term growth pattern. Like, there's no guarantees here, guys. I would think so. I would think this is actually interesting to look at. To see which, to see which one would be most likely. I don't think it's going to be 1,000. It's going to be either one. Either we're at it now or it's around 2,000 range. I think we're pretty much set on one of those right now. But anyway, you know, guys, what's the next bull market going to look like, right? In terms of the profit taking and question, you know, like if we're at the bottom now and the price starts pushing up, right? You know, what is the next bull market really going to be like? Are we going to continue on Bitcoin's long-term growth pattern where we break the next highs and we go for a whole new cycle, right? Or is it going to be something more like this, where it's more tame of a market, and we actually and then the next bull market is something like this, right? There is a chance that the next bull market actually won't replicate our long-term growth pattern. It's possible. The next bull market could actually look something like this, right? Not like less hypey and more of like a real real demand bull market, like not manipulation involved. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the next bull market doesn't have to be like, oh, we're going to break all-time highs and go to 100,000, which I actually think is very likely. But I'm saying the next bull market could actually be something like this, where we're actually just trading up here for a while. You know, we don't really know if Bitcoin's going to replicate everything again, right? Like, it's just unknown. So we'll see. We'll see. You know, if Bitcoin does end up breaking all-time highs, I would actually expect that we're going to go to like 50 to 100,000. And if that happens, well, I'm going to be scaling out of my positions as we I'll probably end up taking some profit. You know, when we start breaking resistance, if we break resistance like 6,000, I would probably take a little bit of profit here, a little profit at 10K. And then if we get above that, I would just wait to see what happens, honestly. Because guys, it's just, I don't have a definite answer for how I'm going to take profits. Because it's such an unknown. Bitcoin is such an unknown right now. All I do know is that Bitcoin, you know, a lot of people will dismiss this idea, but Bitcoin is extremely revolutionary, guys. I don't think a lot of people really grasp just how revolutionary Bitcoin really is, because countries around the world, I know this video is getting long right now, but countries around the world can escape their financial system now, and they pretty much can't be stopped, really, right? Like countries that have failed currencies, they can now be banked, right? The unbanked can now bank, and they can literally be their own bank. Like the effects of Bitcoin, of how revolutionary it is, I don't even think we've seen the first 25%. I don't even think we've seen the first 25% of how Bitcoin is going to affect the world. I think we just got started. And I think this thing has a lot more of a story ahead of it. I don't think the Bitcoin story is over, guys. I think this thing is going to surprise the hell out of the world. I think the world's going to be shocked by Bitcoin in the future. That might seem too optimistic, but guys, this is a damn new piece of technology, and we haven't even seen half the story yet, guys, in my opinion. Right? I think this thing will change the world in a lot of ways. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today, and I will talk to you all very soon.